President Barrow receives first shot as Gambia rolled out COVID-19 vaccination campaign. The United Nations expresses concern over the slow implementation of the 2018 peace deal in South Sudan. And negotiations to revive the 2020 draft constitution is still ongoing. We will hear from our reporter on the ground for the latest update. These and more coming ahead on News Desk. This is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. And we begin with matters of the COVID-19 vaccination rollout, because President Adama Barrow has on Wednesday received his first jab of the COVID-19 vaccines that was shipped into the country through the COVAX initiative last week. Cabinet ministers alongside diplomats also received doses of the vaccines through the president, of course, following the president's declaration of the launch of the national COVID-19 immunization program at the State House in Banjul. Ndesise has more details of that in this report.
The Gambia has joined other African countries that have received and rolled out the COVID-19 vaccines under the COVAX facility. The 36,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses arrived in the Gambia on March 2nd to help in the fight against the deadly virus. The vaccination rollout sets to target frontline workers, the elderly, and other vulnerable set of groups. President Barrow urges the cooperation of all Gambians towards the vaccination process, saying that the vaccine is safe and everyone should step up in the global fight.
It has taken its toll on virtually everyone, emotionally, socially, economically, or otherwise. It is a relief, therefore, that suitable vaccines have been discovered, tested and approved by reliable experts. I am sure all of us wish that the vaccines were discovered earlier to save more lives.
WHO country representative Dr. Desta Chirune says this is the first time countries have come together to fight a global pandemic. Dr. Desta says more vaccines are expected to be donated from COVAX facility.
Has so far delivered more than 11.6 million vaccine doses to 17 African countries, and more are yet to come.
The Health Minister, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, says the WHO and its partners made the successful arrival of the vaccines into the Gambia after the country submitted the necessary documents.
The COVAX facility will provide vaccines for 20% of our population. This allocation will be able to vaccinate all persons aged 41 years and above, including the priority groups. This sums up to over 480,000 people. The Gambia has received the first shipment of COVAX COVID-19 vaccines. This amounted to 36,000 doses, which will be able to cater for 18,000 individuals. This was expedited following the submission of the required documentation. Within a very short period, the COVAX vaccines were available for delivery to the country.
COVAX is working for equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines and ensure the safety of the vaccines. Since the development of the COVID-19 vaccines across the world, many countries have started mass vaccination to curb the spread of the virus. The arrival of the vaccines into the Gambia gives a great hope as it will help in combating the virus. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DESKS.
After a long wait, finally, Gambia begins to roll out, of course, the COVID-19 vaccination campaign after the president received his first jab yesterday at State House. Now, to matters of the draft constitution, the final stages of the discussions on the failed draft constitution is underway. This is the third visit of Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, in the country. Political party leaders and different stakeholders have been in discussion since on Wednesday at the Sadauda Karaba Jawara Conference Center to pave ways for the draft. Earlier this week, the Nigerian statesman told reporters that he is optimistic that the consultations with political parties would yield positive results after his closed-door meeting with President Barrow at State House in Banjul. Now, let's cross over to our reporter, Binta Jallo, who has been closely monitoring the negotiations. Binta, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us the latest update on the ongoing negotiations.
Amadou, thank you very much. There has been a latest development on this issue. As you can see, we are no more at the Sadauda Kairaba Conference Center. Now we are here in Kuloli at African Princess Beach Hotel, where the ex-president of Nigeria is currently lodging, and they are currently having their meeting or discussions here behind me inside this hotel. And now, like I said, we are actually following these discussions, and we are hoping that they will come to a concession at the end of the day.
Well, Binta, what prompted the move from the Sadauda Karaba Center to where you are right now?
So, Amadou, I just got a tip off that they are not actually having the meeting at that place, and then we had to just rush to this place so that we can at least be able to inform the public accurately according to what is happening.
All right. Now, negotiations appears are still ongoing. Is there any sense of or likely that an agreement would be reached before the end of the day?
Well, Amadou, it seems like they are almost done with their negotiation, but we are having information that it's not going as it was expected. So maybe we should say the Gambia is not expecting any new constitution at the moment as we speak, unless things change during this meeting. Now we are waiting for them here to talk to them and see actually whether they have come to an agreement.
All right, Binta Jallo, keep tracking on the development as negotiations continues, and thank you very much for your time. It was good to have you on the line for the latest updates on the ongoing negotiations on the draft constitution. And from that report there, or update from Binta, we will now move on and head to Ghana now, because Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has delivered the 2021 State of the Nation's address after the Supreme Court rejected the petition filed in by the opposition candidate challenging his legitimacy. Now, the Ghanaian leader says he is now focused in his efforts to resuscitate the country's economy after its downturn due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, despite the president's hope for more job opportunities, some parliamentarians are not convinced. Here are more details of that in this report.
Hospitals will be designated.
President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address comes after Ghana's Supreme Court unanimously quashed a petition challenging his legitimacy. The court declared that the petition filed by opposition candidate John Mahama lacked merit. The president says his focus now is to revive the economy after a downturn caused by COVID-19.
Our overall economic growth rate for 2020 was reviewed downwards from 6.8% to 0.9%. This was done to reflect the impact of the pandemic. The fiscal responsibility rule of keeping a deficit within a threshold of 5% of GDP and a positive primary balance for every year was suspended in 2020 to enable fiscal operations to accommodate the impact of the pandemic.
Ghana has begun its COVID-19 vaccine rollout and wants to inoculate 20 million people by the end of the year. The president hopes to create more jobs to support the country's economic recovery.
Government expects economic activity, which has already picked up, to do so even further following the ongoing vaccination exercise and the easing of restrictions put in place to curb the effects of the disease. We expect GDP growth to rebound strongly this year to nearly 5%, above the IMF's 2021 January projection of 3.2% growth for Sub-Saharan Africa for 2021.
President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address has received mixed reactions from legislators.
I was particularly happy about the railway program and then the Buankra Inland Port, which of course many young people in Ashanti region are looking up to find jobs.
He's creating the impression that everything is all right, but even the developed countries are telling their people times are hard, we have to do things differently.
The president also outlined key infrastructure developments he plans to undertake by the end of his mandate in 2024. It includes the expansion of roads across the country and improving access to healthcare delivery. President Akufo-Addo could struggle to get legislation passed during his second term in office due to Ghana's hung parliament. He will have to try and get support from the opposition party to make progress on key campaign pledges.
And Nana Akufo-Addo vows to revive the country's economy amidst the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now we come back home and report on the ongoing public hearings of the TRC. Hussein Toure was the manager of Tanjebad Reserve at the time. 8 dead bodies were found in the bush at the reserve. On Wednesday, he told the commission that he believes the bodies found in the bush were not killed by animals but were shot by guns. Khadija Seka has more of that in this report.
Appearing before the Truth Commission, Hussein Toure explains the condition he found the dead bodies at the Tanjebad Reserve. He says some of the bodies had lacerations around their necks and are almost near decomposition.
Some of them were already stiff. If we want to turn them, the whole body will turn around.
Rigor mortis.
Yeah. And what we discovered also, well, not all of them, but 1 or 2 had bullet wounds around their neck area. And most of them had problems on their skull, their faces.
Mr. Toure says he sees foul play in the killings of the 8 dead bodies and says they did not involve themselves too deeply into the matter because of safety reasons.
When this started, we all knew that there was foul play in this whole thing. And in those days, everybody thinks about himself, how to save his own skin so that we will not be involved deeply into this matter.
He says the PIU later came and took the bodies away and a panel was set up to investigate the killings. Mr. Toure says a member of the Tanjebad Reserve Dembo was part of the investigation panel. He says Dembo was authorized to conceal information about the alleged massacre.
He was part of the investigation panel because he goes along and attends their meetings.
And then another information on the password on you not to court.
This is why when he was stopped, according to him, he was told to be quiet about this thing, not to talk about it, not to inform anybody about what happened.
In July 2005, about 51 West African migrants were rounded up by Gambia security after their boat landed along the coast of Barra. They were suspected to be mercenaries and were killed by the security team of the Gambia Armed Forces at different locations in the country. 8 dead bodies were found in Burfoot and another 8 more dead bodies were found at the Tanjebad Reserve.
And the report is filed by Khadijatu Seka, and Hussein Toure is one of the witnesses who appeared before the Truth Commission during the week, over the week if you like. Now, with that report there, we will now take a break and come back shortly. Stay tuned, more stories coming ahead.
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, Africell, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11, any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Then walk into any Africell customer care center and activate your eSIM today. With your virtual Africell SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by Africell. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us again. Now, Gambia's Health Ministry has started rolling out COVID-19 vaccination campaign that will be taking place across the country. The move followed the arrival of 36,000 vaccine doses in the Gambia on the 2nd of March, and 37 syringes were also given to the Ministry of Health from the World Health Organization COVAX initiative. The CISA tells us more of that in this report.
As many people cast a doubt over the efficacy and effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine, the Health Ministry has on Wednesday held a press conference to raise awareness and understanding ahead of the vaccination. The vaccination in the Gambia will target the priority groups and those aged 40 and above. The Health Minister, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, urges the media to help the ministry to sensitize people on the vaccination.
Most of what the people know about COVID-19 and most of what they are going to know about the vaccination is going to be through yourselves. That is why your role in the success of this vaccination campaign is very, very, very crucial. So we appeal to all of you to send the message, to encourage people to get the facts so that we can report the facts. And we also encourage the people for the uptake of these vaccines to be high, because the vaccines are protective.
WHO country representative Dr. Desta Tirune says this is historic, as it is the first time the world ever produced an effective vaccine in less than a year. He encourages the public to take the vaccine.
Here is now for the public to take up the vaccines and make sure that these vaccines are also put to good use. Not everybody will get the vaccine because we don't have enough of them.
As the President and Cabinet Ministers receive their first jab of the vaccine, the UNICEF country representative Jonathan Lewis hailed the move as great. He acknowledges the effort the Gambia government takes in the fight against the pandemic.
I got a call from my regional director on the Day of Independence, on the 18th of February. And she called the Gambia country office representative as well as 4 other UNICEF representatives in the region. And the question was, are you ready to receive your vaccines? Because our mechanism that we use to arrange for the packaging, the logistics, the supply, the delivery, actually getting the vaccines onto the cargo hold of airplanes, we're ready to go with millions and millions of doses. So the question at that point is the Gambia ready to receive its first shipment of 36,000 vaccines? And I said, well, we're going to have to look into this because this is moving perhaps a little faster than we expected.
The Gambia is expecting more vaccines to be rolled out, and the current vaccination will continue towards the end of the year. The West African nations are the first countries to receive the product as part of the COVAX initiative. COVAX hopes to deliver more than 2 million doses of the vaccines in 2021. As the demand for the vaccines will exceed the supply, there are growing concerns that poorer countries might be left behind in the vaccination program. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DESKS.
And we will bring you more details of the COVID-19 vaccines and the vaccination program in our subsequent news editions. Next to South Africa now, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has joined the fray to urge South Africans to embrace and buy local products and services after a proudly South African Buy Local campaign is launched. Now, the initiative aims to encourage more South Africans to buy and use local services to boost the country's economy. The president also reveals his government's plans to increase local procurement in the next coming years. Here is more details of that in this report.
Proudly South African is an official buy local advocacy campaign. It encourages South Africans to buy local products and use local services in order to help stimulate the economy and create jobs. This entity holds summits and an expo showcasing local products on an annual basis. This year, delivering a keynote address, President Cyril Ramaphosa urged South Africans to buy local, emphasizing that buying local is about investing in quality, sustaining local businesses, and keeping jobs at home.
Wear local, travel local, eat local, watch local content, read local authors. And this is so important that even when you go to a bookstore, go to that section that is Africa, South African. Support local music. Yes, listen to the brilliant stars that we've got in our country. So Proudly South African must move beyond just being a campaign. We want it to be a reality. It must become a mass movement that all South Africans are keen to embrace and to actively support.
Ramaphosa announced that the government plans to increase local procurement over the next 5 years, vowing to clamp down on illegal importation of goods in South Africa.
Apart from its own procurement commitments, government is working to lower the barriers to entry to make it a lot easier to establish and to grow a business in our country. We're also working to support existing manufacturers.
The president added that some industries are already on board. For instance, in the sugar sector, the government has already secured the commitment of local manufacturers of soft drinks to procure 80% of their sugar needs from local growers, including small-scale farmers. Other sectors have made similar commitments.
Automotive Master Plan, for example, aims to double the amount of job opportunities by increasing the level of local content in vehicles assembled in this country from 39% to 60%. That is a whooping increase. And the commitment to achieve that 60% is there, and I've seen it and I've heard it, and I want to touch it more and more. The Poultry Master Plan has contributed to the production of more than 1 million additional chickens every week that make their way onto the shelves in our retail stores.
Held virtually as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The expo features more than 100 companies showcasing their products and services in a short video with an online meeting hub where buyers and sellers can connect.
And from that report there in South Africa, finally to South Sudan now, because the United Nations has expressed concerns in the delay of implementations of the 2018 peace deal in the country. This African country has been engulfed in a multi-sided civil war between forces of the government and opposition forces, and in 2018, a peace agreement was signed to restore peace in the country, but there has been growing concerns over the slow application of the agreement despite ongoing peace talks. Here are more details of that in this report.
The 2018 South Sudan's peace deal set out a way forward. Various armed groups were supposed to be unified, retrained, and redeployed before a unity government could be formed. Up until now, the armies have been in training camps. The building of a national army, police, and other organized forces is supposed to be happening at the moment. That exercise has not begun.
We still have many issues that are not yet in fruition. particularly the county commissioners. We still wait for those to be appointed. They're critical appointments in the current state of subnational violence, the amount of subnational violence going on. We've also got, of course, the issues around the Constitution, the unification of forces. All of these important parts of the peace process are still to be resolved.
The peace deal also stipulates a number of economic reforms so that South Sudan's central bank can become fully independent. The peace agreement also provides that the Ministry of Finance should be transparent and the National Audit Chamber should be independent and carry out its work without political interference. None of those reforms have begun. The conflict isn't over, though. Armed opposition groups are still locked in battle with the government. Talks with the groups was being held in Rome but were halted because of COVID-19 restrictions. The new unity government says it has resumed talks with the groups in Kenya this week.
The spirit was actually encouraging. There was friendliness, a feeling of trying to get solutions to the problem of our people. We felt that we are all one people of the Republic of South Sudan.
The UN says it is concerned that the elections scheduled at the end of the 3-year transitional period might be delayed, which could lead to more violence in the country.
The United Nations there expressing concern over the slow implementations of the 2018 peace deal agreement in South Sudan. And that report there from South Sudan, of course, brings us to the end of this news text edition. But for more details on this and other stories, you can log on our website on africa.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second largest gathering of world leaders in 2022. To successfully host the OIC Summit and put the Gambia on the global stage, the government of the Gambia set up OIC Gambia to mobilize resources for the implementation of key development and infrastructure projects on a scale never seen before. 20 new roads